Hey guys, and welcome to this video on my journey as a YouTube tarot reader. My name is Kayleigh Jean, and welcome if you're new to my channel. I have put out a video in the past about my spiritual journey and sort of what drew me to intuitive work, so I'll put that below. But I also do feel that I have changed over time, and so I think this is a good topic to return to, especially right now as many of us are being enforced to kind of stay at home and we have a lot of extra time on our hands. So I wanted to kind of pop on here more often and share some maybe story times with you guys and open up a little bit more about my personal experience. I am a very private person, so I haven't talked a lot about myself on my channel. Like I said, I do have that one video from before where I talked about my experience as a highly sensitive person and all of that. So I'll again put that link below the video. But other than that, I really have found it to be a lot more natural for me to come on here and actually tune into you guys and your energy and give you whatever insights I'm able to get from the cards and from spirit for your energies of every upcoming month. So it's not the most natural thing for me to talk about myself, but when I made a post recently asking you guys what you would like to hear from me during this time that we're all kind of staying at home and have more time on our hands, and overwhelmingly this was the most requested video. So I'm going to dive into this really broad topic, and I'm sure that I won't be able to cover everything, but I wanted to share a little bit about my experience as a YouTube tarot reader. This is my primary source of income. And this is how I pay my bills. This is how I take care of myself financially. It's also, I feel, very aligned with my life purpose. It's been a long journey for me with YouTube, and I've had a lot of experiences. Overwhelmingly, they have been incredibly positive and super blessed. So I have really no complaints about YouTube or about having a business that is sort of based or has its foundation on YouTube. I've been very blessed to be on this platform and to have connected with the people that I've connected with on this platform. When I started doing videos on YouTube, it was a much different atmosphere. There were really not hardly anywhere near as many readers as there are now. I've seen so many changes in the time that I have been here on YouTube, and I've seen a massive increase in the growth of curiosity and interest in tarot and astrology and other occult art forms and divinatory forms of practice. And I think that it's a really good thing. Overwhelmingly, it's a great thing. Everything has its sort of positives and negatives, but I think that this really has been overwhelmingly positive for me personally, and I think that there are a lot of really good things coming from this resurgence, I think, in terms of nature-based spirituality, also spirituality that has a more sovereign ring to it. I think that it's becoming a lot more acceptable to have kind of a sovereign view of spirituality where you don't have to be completely aligned with any particular paradigm, but you're really just working off of your own experience and what feels meaningful to you. So I think that because we're seeing this beautiful surge towards sovereign spirituality in our global community, and perhaps the events of COVID-19 are also maybe going to contribute to that in certain ways. I'm not really sure, but it does seem like things are moving in a direction that is very conducive to this kind of work, to intuitive work, to alternative forms of spirituality, and recognition that we don't need to adhere to a particular system, although we can also see the value in the systems, and we can see the value in the wisdom inherent within a particular religious system, even if we don't completely accept it as wholesale truth. So my journey with YouTube tarot has obviously been very closely connected to two specific areas of my life. I mean, first of all, it would be my spiritual growth, and my beliefs about life have evolved and changed specifically as a result of experiences that I've had on my channel, experiences that I've had with clients, experiences that I've had in terms of my personal growth in relation to this work. But it's also like very inextricably linked to my career and my professional life as well. So for me, it's always been kind of an interesting thing because I feel like, and maybe this is true for every entrepreneur, I think entrepreneurs encounter a lot of personal growth through their business or through their product or through the process of taking something to market or the process of putting themselves out there in some way. That ends up being, you know, whether or not they're actually talking about spirituality or spiritual concepts, it does, I think, in a lot of ways become part of your spiritual journey, because it's very difficult to maintain a consistent business, especially if you're like a self-made person, if you're a self-made entrepreneur or an artist, to really keep showing up every day and doing the work, even when you're tired, or even when, you know, there's things in your personal life that would like to get in the way or seem like they would get in the way. To really keep going with whatever you're working on takes a lot of persistence, and it requires a lot of dedication. For me personally, being on my journey as a YouTube tarot reader, it's always been like a lot of the lessons that I've had to learn, I feel, and a lot of like the struggles that I've had have really contributed so much to who I am and who I like want to be, and how I kind of project my energy into the future. I think when I started out, I struggled a lot with putting myself out there, and it's still not easy to this day. I don't think it ever gets completely just easygoing and comfortable, because you're always putting your most vulnerable self out there, especially with any intuitive work. Where you are putting out messages and insight and things that you are picking up on the energies in a spread, or even through meditation or channeling. You're always kind of putting yourself out there whenever you're doing that, or making a prediction, for example. And I think that there's a sense that I think it actually is a good thing to never be completely comfortable doing that, because I think that if you were totally just not concerned at all with giving a useful or helpful answer to a question, or if you're just completely laissez-faire, kind of let it rip kind of energy, I think that sometimes, you know, that could also potentially lead you down a path of not necessarily giving messages that are going to be the most helpful and useful for people. So, I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I think that having a little bit of a sense of urgency and a sense of respect for the process is good. And so that's why I think I do still struggle a little bit from time to time with the vulnerability of putting myself out there. And every once in a while, before I press publish to a video, I will feel my heart rate pick up a little bit, because I'm like, oh, I hope that this is going to be useful for someone. I hope this is going to make a difference for someone. And what if it doesn't, you know? But I think that I've kind of allowed that within myself a little bit, because I know that as long as I deeply care about what I'm doing, then I think that I'm on the right track. So that's kind of how I've dealt with some of the anxiety of putting myself out there on YouTube and being on camera and talking. Obviously, is not the most comfortable thing for an introvert, which I definitely am an introvert. I think if some of you guys interacted with me in person, because many of you I've never met in person, if you were to kind of see me in a group with my friends, or if you were to, you know, have lunch with me and a group of people, you'd see that I'm actually very quiet. You know, in group settings, I feel like I'm always sort of I become very inward, and I'm really listening to everything that's going on, but I almost never start a conversation, or I almost never like assert myself into a conversation. I'm very, very chill. I'm very kind of reserved and quiet in a lot of ways, and part of that I think obviously has to do with some of my astrology. I am a quadruple Scorpio and with Virgo rising, so those are definitely very passive energies in a natal chart to have. So, and there's other things for sure as well, but yeah, so I think that being on YouTube has actually given me the ability to discover parts of myself that I wouldn't have really, like parts of my personality that I wouldn't have touched on, because I don't really ever give myself just free license to just talk for like 30 minutes or whatever, however long a reading is. It's a very unusual thing to do, right? Normally, if you're speaking, you're pausing every once in a while and the other person is saying something. And I think that this is a very unique format for an introvert like me. This has been amazing for me because I get to be in my space, in my office, which I continuously am cleaning and clearing and constantly doing blessings and prayers and meditations in here to really make sure that the vibe is very high and is very comfortable for me. So I get to kind of set up this environment of safety, like energetic feeling of safety and energetic feeling of groundedness. And then from that place, I get to kind of get the camera rolling and I'm off, you know, and I can get in touch with this more verbal side of myself that I don't normally express. Like I wasn't really a very outgoing person ever in my life, except for when I was actually like really young. Like when I was a child, I did actually talk a lot, but then, you know, that changed in high school and junior high. I went super inward and became a really profoundly like introverted introvert, if that makes sense. And so, and I still feel like I am definitely an introvert. So if I ever have to do anything social, which obviously haven't had to do anything social like very recently and maybe won't for a little while. But if I ever do, it's definitely one of those things that I have to recharge my batteries a lot afterwards. So this line of work, you know, making YouTube videos, and also most of my readings are like the client work that I do is pre-recorded video readings. So my clients will send me their questions or their concerns or their birth data if I'm reading their natal chart, or their transits, or looking into money stuff and business information for them. I'll get all of the information that I need to cast those charts that are relevant for that, and then I record a video once I've analyzed the natal charts or the business charts or, you know, whatever. And if I'm doing a tarot reading, you know, I'll basically meditate first on the person's energy and their question. And then once I feel that I've really connected to their energy, then I start the camera rolling and I record myself, you know, pulling the cards for them. And it's just basically similar to my YouTube videos, except it's, you know, focused completely on that person and I'm answering directly each question that they have. And then after the reading, if anything didn't make sense, they can always email me back and let me know. So this way of working, I think, has been like really well suited for me because I am a person with a very high degree of openness to experience. I'm very easily moved emotionally by movies or by somebody telling me their story or by, you know, just basically anything that I see, I will easily kind of step into that experience and really open up to it, which has obviously led to a lot of the strengths that have given me the ability to, I think personally, tune in every month for you guys, and every month getting these insights and channeling them through the cards and through meditations. I don't think that I would be able to do that if I wasn't open spiritually and energetically to receiving, you know, intuitive messages and intuitive hits. But that is also a double-edged sword, like everything else. When I was doing more in-person readings, which I did in the first couple of years that I was reading cards for others, even before I started my YouTube channel in 2015, I was reading for people locally and for free online as well through email, but on Craigslist. So I hadn't started my channel yet. I hadn't been, you know, doing anything professionally online, but I just loved reading cards for people. So, but when I was reading more in person, what I found was that my openness to experience, basically my empathy, would kind of be, it would have the potential to complicate my readings because I would be at the same time open to the messages that wanted to come through spiritually or through the cards, but I would also be very much with the person and almost kind of feeling their emotions I think that it was more taxing on my physical body. I feel like I was still able to give readings that were helpful and that were accurate and beneficial, but the end result ended up being that afterwards I was very drained. My nervous system felt like it was very drained, and it felt like I was getting very tired, and I would feel like even if I had just done one reading, it was like, okay, that's like it for the day, basically, because energetically I was very drained. So that's something that I definitely worked on, when I experienced that initially. And then, once I started YouTube, it was a whole different set of challenges when it came to like my high sensitivity. So one of the books that really helped me understand that was The Highly Sensitive Person by Elaine Aron. And I'll put a picture of that up right now so that if you can relate. I try to be careful about labels and just labeling myself as something, because I think that there can be unconscious connotations or assumptions that might cause me to make my life more difficult if I just completely identify with a label. But having said that, I do think that I really fit the description of what a highly sensitive person, like how that concept is defined in that book, is kind of everything that I've experienced in my life. So I definitely feel like I am a highly sensitive person, and recognizing that really helped me to frame some of the challenges that I experienced as a reader. So I don't think that you need to be highly sensitive to be a great reader. I think that regardless of whether you're a tarot reader or astrologer or an energy healer or whatever, I think that you can approach any situation that might be helpful for another person in multiple ways. Even astrology itself, I've been studying for several years at this point, more seriously. I feel like ultimately, you can approach a helpful conversation with someone from an analytical perspective, which some astrologers take a very analytical perspective. It's not so much about, the intuition or like psychic hunches or things kind of more right brain. It's a little bit more left brain analysis, and then effective communication for helpful strategies. There's like that end of the spectrum, and then there's also, pure psychic readings or tarot, very intuitive psychic tarot readings on the other, and there's everything in between. So again, I'm not trying to project this experience onto anyone else, but this is just how my personal path has felt like. I feel like where I'm at now, I'm kind of bridging the gap between, I guess, my left brain and my right brain, because as I spoke about in my earlier video, about my spiritual path and how for a while there I was studying hormones, and I became a women's health counselor, and I was learning how to teach fertility awareness method, which is a very scientific method of natural birth control to women. That was in my early 20s. I was studying that alongside tarot and writing fiction books, actually. I'm always studying several things. But I feel like I have that analytical kind of more medical side of things. Like I have that way of thinking as well. But then I also have this great openness to experience and this like very strong like desire or very strong natural tendency to empathize a lot with others and to be open to their emotional experience and kind of how they view the world. So this most recent period of my growth, I think, since I last spoke about this, has really been about that integration of those different sides of, I guess, my the two sides of myself that really help me to be an effective, helpful person for others, I guess. But I don't remember exactly where I was going with this. However, I do think that backing out, YouTube has been a really great way for me to meet all of the different kind of unique demands that my kind of unusual self has. Like, I know it's not normal to be such a strong introvert. And I think that many of you guys, if you are with me still in this video, you're probably people who can relate to this, obviously, because you gravitated towards my channel. So if you feel like you're really a strong introvert and you need a lot of time to recharge after social gatherings, and also a lot of time to prepare like beforehand, because you know you're about to kind of deal with things that are not so natural for you, but you also feel an intense, ability to empathize with others, and you really want to help people, but it's like you feel like you want to be there and to give helpful messages and share support and encouraging words and be there as kind of this kind person, but at the same time you feel totally drained in that environment afterwards. Like if you're like me, that's been my experience. I think that being able to do readings on YouTube and also being able to do recorded readings for clients, that has given me the ability to be in that caring role, but without having as much of the energetic strain on my physical body that I had when I was in in-person readings. And so, part of that obviously is about energetic grounding. And I talk about this a lot in my professional tarot healers training course, which I've been running for the last couple of years. I've been mentoring other readers and people who want to, start their own YouTube channel and become YouTube tarot readers themselves. So that is also part of my work now. And I go into this and the importance of this and the specific strategies that I use in that course. But essentially, it's very, very important still, because I think that I'm still, even if I'm doing an astrology reading for someone and there's a lot of analysis involved, I'm always going to be tuning in spiritually for that person. I never don't meditate before a reading or ask for guidance from my guides. I never skip that step, because I think that really the analysis, or like the left brain parts of astrology as well, like there's a lot of math and geometry and a lot of I think almost kind of textbook strategies that take place when you're in an astrology reading that don't necessarily take place when you're in a tarot reading. But I think that either, in my experience, either on their own is not quite complete for me personally. And maybe there are, I know that there are actually plenty of amazing tarot readers that don't really focus on astrology, and their service is complete. Like their service is everything that it needs to be. And there's a lot of, astrologers who are completely focused on astrology and they don't pull any cards, and that is completely holistic and total for them as well. So, and it varies for me from reading to reading. Like I can totally, and have been for years, giving what I feel are complete readings with tarot only, and numerology as well. And then I've also been giving like pure astrology readings, but my personal preference is to combine both. Combining both, I think, gives me the astrology kind of gives me like the landscape or the kind of energetic weather of what's going on, and then the tarot and the meditation and the tuning in parts of it are kind of giving me connection to sources of guidance and insight that I can't necessarily explain, but that also really kind of become essential, I think, during the reading process, because it takes me into the present moment as well. With the cards, having something physical to work with, I think is priceless. Having a physical way to, okay, like now that we've looked at the landscape of the astrology and the transits or the progressions or the horary, let's look at a couple of advice cards, or let's look at, let's draw everything together into this present moment and touch on anything that spirit feels that we may have missed. And I think that that really gives me kind of the whole picture for me personally. So that's definitely been something that I have been integrating into my client practice, and a little bit here on YouTube as well. So, YouTube, as far as the benefits, I think for one, just the fact that it's a free platform that anybody can start putting videos up. I think that that is really cool. I feel like it's very inclusive in that way. It doesn't cost a lot to start up a channel. One of the things that I have started doing, which I think I probably should have been doing realistically earlier, was putting ads in my videos, or not in, I don't think I'll ever do them in my videos, but before and after, just because this is a process that takes a lot of time. Putting YouTube videos out every single month for the 12 signs of the zodiac is no small feat. It's very difficult to navigate that demand of output when you also have to balance client readings and keeping up with people on social media. Like, I run my tarot challenges. My April Fool's Journey challenge is actually starting tomorrow. So if you'd like to follow along with that, I will put the information below the video. It's free, and it's just a way for us to connect over the cards, over the whole major arcana, and then we're going to look at invoking the archetypes that we want to be invoking at this time in our life after we go through the majors. So it's a very educational, it's almost like a free tarot course in a way. And it requires so much of my time because I like to read the posts that people make over on Instagram, and I try and interact with people, as many people as possible every day, without completely avoiding my own self-care, obviously. But between, the various Instagram challenges that I do, the, blogging every once in a while, other videos that I put up on YouTube, and also just answering emails and keeping up with my clients and getting their readings to them on time. Between all of those things, it really is a lot. It's a lot for one person to handle. So I think that one of the benefits of YouTube is that if you're consistent about putting videos out, like even if you are not in tarot or not in, any of the occult art forms, if you're a person who makes cooking videos, or if you do crafting videos, or if you want to start making a channel about bookbinding, which, by the way, I would definitely follow that. If you just want to share more of your passion, or if you're looking to start a side business for yourself or an online business for yourself, YouTube, I think, is a really great option as long as you're willing to be consistent. So if you say you're going to put out one video per week, then definitely make sure that you're creating enough content, whether you're batching it ahead of time, for a couple months ahead of time, or whether you're actually filming one video per week and uploading it every single week. Definitely, have this stuff down, have your schedule kind of laid out for yourself, because I think that that's been one of the reasons that my channel has grown so much, is just that I always show up and do these monthly readings no matter what is going on in my personal life, which I feel like my personal life is relatively stable. I have been in an amazing relationship for almost 9 years now with my partner, and I am absolutely head over heels for him. I just feel like every day I just love him so much, and I'm so proud of him and everything that he does. He's just an amazing, amazing person. So I feel like, in that sense, my personal life is very stable, but we have moved around a lot. We've moved quite a few times. So during this period of me having this channel, there's definitely been months where I was kind of scrambling to get my sacred space set up so that I would be able to get my videos out on time. And there have been, if you've been following me for a little while, you know that there's been a few times where they were late, but I still got them out. But it was definitely, the moving aspect has been really one of the most challenging things, because keeping up with client readings and as well, like having this space where I feel I have to have good energies around me when I'm doing readings. Otherwise, I feel like I'm working at a disadvantage. And so for me, that's just kind of one of my sort of strong boundaries with myself, is that every time that I come in here and sit in this chair to do readings, I have to feel that the energy around me is clean and clear, that I feel grounded and supported in my like office in my area, that I have privacy as well. So it definitely comes with some logistical challenges if you are somebody who shares a living situation, if you have roommates, or if you have noisy neighbors, or if you have people with dogs that bark a lot who live in your neighborhood, or if people come by and do landscaping at your neighbor's house, or there's a lot of different ways that your environment can get interrupted. And I think that that's maybe one of the things that people who are new to YouTube or who are just starting a channel don't necessarily think about, because they're kind of just, it's like you think you just point a camera at you and maybe you get a light and you kind of just roll with it, and that is how it is. But when you're tuning in spiritually and you need to focus, you definitely want to have privacy so that you don't have people in the room who have to just be quiet and they're hearing everything that you're saying. It can feel kind of odd. I've never actually had to deal with that. But my partner will be at home, a lot of the time that I'm doing readings, but he's just in another room, because I always make sure to have an office or somewhere private that I can go to work, no matter what house we're living in, or, how many times we've been moving. I've always had to make that a priority. So definitely having the space to do the work in silence, and also having the space to really feel grounded. And that might mean I've had really small offices in the past. I've had offices that were tiny, but it always worked for me because I was able to get my crystals and just my core things that I absolutely needed. There's enough room for me to lay out my spread cloth and I'm fine. So, it doesn't have to be perfect, but definitely having a good environment that is going to be quiet, reliably quiet, can be a hurdle for some people with this work, for sure. Financially, my business has definitely supported me through thick and thin. I, again, have no complaints there. I feel like my business has been there for me when I've had unexpected huge bills. I've been able to pay them. Definitely having the ads on the videos adds a little bit, but the majority of my income comes from my personal readings and my mentoring that I do, and also client work with students as well. So I teach courses, and then I have the YouTube channel, and I have basically the client readings is like the biggest chunk of my income. Everybody has different experiences. I personally have always felt better kind of being alone, even though I do need to have time with friends, and I really enjoy, and I think it's so precious when I do actually get to meet up with some of my girlfriends. When we do get to meet up, it's amazing and so magical, and just something really special for me. But I always, no matter what, I always feel like I need a lot of time to myself. So that would be what I would say would be like a potential difficulty for some people if you're thinking about starting a YouTube channel and having that be kind of like your primary source of income. I would say that it's very possible that if you're more of an extrovert, you could feel a little bit more stir crazy, like many of us are feeling right now, just with social distancing and all of that. So that could be a struggle, because for me, the social distancing rules didn't really affect me and my lifestyle much at all. Like, I pretty much am still doing things the same way that I normally did them, because I work from home and I'm already such a hermit that it didn't really change much for me. But I have so much compassion for those of you who are more extroverted, or who just generally interact more with other people, and this experience may have put you into a situation where you're not as comfortable, or where there's maybe people that you really love and enjoy their company and that you really miss, and you might be concerned for them. So my heart goes out to any of you who are struggling with this. I think that we all need to kind of support each other, and that's part of why I wanted to come on here and talk a little bit more and make some extra videos this month, so that we could all kind of explore some deeper sharing and reflection together. So that would potentially be, though, if you're considering, starting a YouTube channel and having this be, your main source of income or something that you do full time, just know that there is a lot of alone time, and there's a lot of like being quiet, editing videos. There's a lot of emails and things of that nature, which for me, I actually find really relaxing and peaceful. And generally speaking, after I do a video, I usually want to just kind of go outside and be by myself and listen to the wind in the trees and listen to the birds chirping and just kind of get grounded in the outside again, get grounded again in solitude. I'm alone the whole time, whether I'm filming a video or going outside after a video. I'm like alone in both scenarios, but the filming aspect definitely takes a little bit more energy from me, although it is easier for me than if I were actually kind of in a public speaking situation where I had to, get up. If I was like a teacher, I feel like I could never be a teacher. Like, I have so much respect for teachers because they get up in front of, a bunch of kids or a bunch of, college students or whatever, and I just feel like that would be so draining for me. So if you're a teacher, you are freaking awesome. You're a hero. You're a badass. And I think that like one of the things that I've learned about myself is that I took some personality tests a while back, and I'm really good with like one of the things that came through as like a good potential career for me was like nursing. But then another aspect of the personality test was saying that I succeed best when I'm actually working by myself. And that always kind of stuck with me because it's like, on the one hand, like how much more intimate and close and caring of a profession can you get than nursing, right? Which, all right, hallelujah, and blessings to all the nurses out there right now. I know that they're some of the people that are really on the front lines. And so I've been praying and sending love to all of them, and you should too. Let's pray for them. Let's pray for the doctors and pray for the nurses. But yeah, like that was one of the things that was recommended as a profession for me. But then also on the other end of things, it was like working alone is where you succeed the best. And so in a very ironic fashion, I think that YouTube has given me the ability to kind of embody both of those sides of myself, the loving, caring, healing nurse side, and then also the side of me that absolutely just relishes solitude and alone time. So that is those are my thoughts, I guess, on YouTube tarot reading and my personal experience and journeys with it. I would love to hear from you guys if you have any more thoughts or questions. I will do my best to respond to your comments. Like I mentioned before, I am doing the April Fool's Journey Tarot Challenge, which starts again on April Fool's Day. So if you would like to join and follow along, I'll be sharing my personal spreads and readings over there as well. So that's going to take up a lot of my time over the next, during April. So if you would like to catch up with me, definitely follow me on Instagram. If there's anything that I didn't quite cover or anything that you're still curious about, definitely let me know in the comments and I'll do my best, like I said, to respond or to make another video. Definitely let me know your thoughts and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. I also will be running the Professional Tarot Healers training class again soon. I don't have a specific launch date, but essentially this course teaches you about pretty much everything. My personal experiences, techniques, and tips that I can give you on being a reader in this day and age and leveraging social media and technology to your advantage. It also goes into the financial side of things and really how to structure your business so that it supports you and feeds your soul and also still gives you the time to be creative, because throughout all of the work that I've done on YouTube, this entire time that I've been here, I've been studying other topics, some of them related to tarot and astrology, of course, but also I've been studying homeopathy, I've been studying history, I've been reading fiction books and writing fiction books and doing other things because I feel like I always need to be learning something and I always need to be creating something. I just know those two things about myself. And so I feel like this business, of being on YouTube and being a reader, a professional reader, definitely given me a lot of work to do, but also it's given me the ability to put some of my time into personal growth, expansion, education, all of that. I've earned several certifications, one of them in life coaching over the last several years, while all the time while I was giving professional readings and studying other subjects. And I feel like this is something that maybe just the fact that I don't have to commute, I can work from home, so I get the ability to pursue more of my interests during that kind of time in the day where I would have been driving to work, previously when I did other things. So all of this has really opened doors for me, and I think that it's a really good option if you're considering working more online. So I'll be running that course. Like I said, I don't know when it's going to launch again exactly, because it does involve personal mentoring with me, where I get on live calls with you guys, and also I get on phone calls with you individually. So I definitely have to really think about my schedule and when I can fit that in. But if you're interested, I will put the link to my website below where you can get on my email list for my astrology newsletter. I hope that this video gave you something interesting and fun to contemplate. I hope that I shared some things that were helpful or insightful, or maybe just relaxing for you to hear about in this crazy, crazy time that we're in. I'm sending you such a big hug, and I will talk to you next time. Bye.